that. We had some struggles, but we got through it, and we're gonna make this thing happen.
We sure did.
Yeah. So first of all, I found you on TikTok, as so many of my people are that I have on this show. It's actually amazing how many people I find on TikTok. But your art style grabbed me. It was really unique. Um and I believe you're making like a comic book or something
Yes.
to that effect. What, because I've had someone who produces comic books and
Uh-huh.
does his own, Charles Moinsant, shout out to him. Tell us what that's like, because as someone with no artistic talent at all, except for being able to talk someone's head off, I wouldn't even know where to begin.
Well, I'll tell you, talking someone's head off is a undervalued skill if you tell me. Talking about my stuff, I so yes, I have a webcomic. It has been something that I was actually mulling over before the quarantine, but when you're at your apartment alone with nothing much else to do, with no reasons to go outside and more reasons to stay inside, you eventually put time into things that you feel compelled to do. So I remember there was a certain point where I was just like, I might have been sitting in a bathtub, honestly, and I was just like, man, what am I going to do? And I was talking to my now fiance, Jean, like, what am I going to do? Like, I've got all this passion. And she basically said, just do it. And that gave me the realization, like, there literally is nothing in your way. Just make it happen. If you really wanted to do this, you'd be making it happen. You don't need to wait for a publisher. You don't need to wait for feedback. Part of making comics is the process, and that's the only way you get better. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to put shit out first, and eventually, page by page, shit's going to get better. So I think I just posted page 50 of that webcomic sometime this week. And yeah, I think that's what I made my big achievement TikTok that you found me on. Is that right?
More than likely. And it's amazing because so a lot of people don't know what BCEW means, which, I mean, it's an acronym, obviously, but it's
Right.
Brock's Conversations for the End of the World. And I
Okay.
literally got this podcast started for the same reason. It's like, I have no time on my hands. I also realized, like, so many people have, and I've said this a million times. So, I mean, future fans in the future are going to be like, this motherfucker keep going at it again. But we all realized so quick how substitutable we all are, how quickly just anyone and everyone, corporate or by necessity or just by the flick of their wrist, is just like, you're out. Have a good day. Sorry about that.
Yeah.
Can't be helped. So it's almost now not necessary, because I mean, everything will go back to normal eventually. But for those who had their eyes opened as wide as mine were, you need at least three streams of revenue, either whether they be
Oh yeah.
hobbies, like thrift shopping and eBay selling, which is another one of my favorite. Like, it's a hobby and I love it, and I make a little bit of money off of it. But that, something on TikTok, something on YouTube, and then maybe your 9 to 5, and hopefully one of the two become your 9 to 5. But you
Yeah.
can't just do your 9 to 5 anymore.
Yeah. I mean, as of right now, my 9 to 5 is a steady paying graphic design job. It pays the bills and it's not too demanding of my time. So once 5 o'clock hits, I have my time to myself to do whatever I want. And yeah, I would love to, bottom line, just tell stories for a living, whether that's doing video production or doing storyboarding or doing comics. And when you are in quarantine mode, there's not as much outreach and collaboration because I'm shit at being online, and all my friends can probably attest to that. They're always like, Ben, did you even check the text? Ben, why didn't you reply to this? So when it comes to being creative, I've been most often doing things solo. In the small chances that I did get to tell stories collaboratively, it was a ton of fun. And it's actually right now, even though I'm working on my own comic, I think a really great avenue for me would be storyboarding. because it's basically comics in a temporal way instead of a page way.
Yeah, I could absolutely agree with that. Like, and even with you saying like you're a graphic designer, you want to get into more like storyboarding stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Those necessarily, especially in a traditional sense, they don't really always coincide with each other. You normally have the graphic design department, then they shifts over to
There is some overlap. Like if there's a Venn
yeah,
diagram where there's storyboarding and graphic design, there's a small overlap, not a ton. I would say graphic design, the primary goal for graphic design is communication and information, but I don't know. There's something that is more, I don't know, it connects to the soul when you talk about storytelling. And even though in storytelling, you can still convey information and communication, but it comes with some heart. And I feel like that sticks with you longer than just the basic poster with information. Do you know what I mean?
yeah, no, absolutely. But the point was that I have another friend, Cody Kilpatrick.
Uh huh.
He does this thing called January, where he does 31 original, fresh off the top beats every day of the month of January.
That's awesome.
And he used to do it where it would just be like a rotating logo. Oh no, he's fantastic. He's so like not underrated, absolutely underrated. He actually did the podcast OP for me when I
Oh, that's
found him,
awesome. Yeah.
contacted him. But what I was getting to was he was originally just like mixing and like producing, but he actually found out that he had to go into a kind of I have to do video editing, I have to do lighting, I have to so
Oh, yeah.
so again, it's going to also be a lot of like my favorite saying, master of many is a master of none, but a master of many is better than some. So it's almost to where you're going to have to have your thing, but then you're going to have to be well versed in everything else pertaining to your subject. Because, I
Yep.
mean, right now, your webcomic, I don't know what that initially pertains. Like maybe you're not the best writer in the world, but you can't hire a writer, or you find a writer who loves the story just as much as you do, and then maybe he does it for free. It's like, hey man, if this ever gets off the ground, we split it 50-50. But what happens if y'all fall apart before you start making money, and then
Yeah.
you never had any writing experience? So
Yeah. I guess a positive side of doing this comic all on my own is that, like, hey, if it fails, it's all on me. The
yeah,
only catch to
absolutely.
that is that you're not you don't have anyone like looking over your shoulder saying like, hey, where are those next couple pages, except for probably my dad. He's probably my most avid reader, which I appreciate. But he while I've been taking some storyboarding courses, I've been putting the comic a little bit on the side, and he's poked me saying like, hey, is there another comic page coming up? And I've unfortunately had to tell him like, not quite yet, they're in the works though.
Not quite yet. Yeah, no. It's rough because I have a my mom is like also a pretty big fan. Like I wouldn't say fans, like you're my firstborn and I'll watch your silly little show. But I mean, yeah, I'll get to it. Like I'll normally post once a week, and if I forget, she's like, "Oh no, what's wrong? One of your episodes?" And I'm like, "I just I couldn't find anyone. It's all right. I'll have some. I've got somebody for next week." She's like, "Well, you better keep finding people." And I'm like, thank you, my thank you, number one
Yet that is
fan.
the bare minimum of what I need to do. It's
Yeah,
fine people.
yeah, no, it's wild, but yeah, no, it's definitely weird, like affixing yourself to a like a schedule to
Hmm.
just
And I'm
run
not gonna
stuff
lie,
through.
it's not always on schedule, but a schedule is one way to keep yourself accountable to getting shit done.
Oh yeah, no, and I can't even imagine like these full time people if they have like producers or just a single producer that controls the camera or a producing
Mhm.
team where they do like a podcast and then it's out the next day, like say like a Joe Rogan or someone else. Like I
Yeah, that's
can't imagine.
incredible.
Yeah, like you'd almost have to, because there's no way, like when I'm done with this podcast, Zoom's going to download it onto my computer, and I'm going to ignore it for 2 days and wait till next Wednesday or the Wednesday after that until I upload it.
Yeah. Honestly, I don't think anyone should feel bad starting out doing like taking their time making stuff, because the fact that you're creating, I think, is such a it's an underrated thing. I feel like we should be celebrating creating something new more, because I feel like the world's just full of consuming content, and there's nothing wrong with that, but it sometimes it vegetates you, and I feel like there's a lot more wholesomeness that you can bring to life when you start creating from yourself, whether that's talking to other people or telling stories or something.
Yeah, I can't agree more. Like there's oh, and even if you do, like let's say God forbid our stuff goes nowhere. Let's say that
Yeah.
happens. The worst that happens is like maybe I spent 5K on like studio stuff. Big whoop.
You can
No
sell
one
that
will
easily on
Yeah,
Marketplace.
exactly. No one will ever know. It's not like
Yeah.
you're going to be like put on the front page of the New York Times and be like, local podcaster fails. Shame, shame, shame.
Can you imagine like a small quarterly magazine? Like, look at all these people who didn't make it.
Oh yeah. I think the closest thing to that for me at least is like Social Blade, where it's like where I literally can look up my podcast. It's like, okay, this guy's got 43 subs. He has an average of 10 viewers per episode. And this is how much money he should be making. I'm like, well, I'm supposed to be making money. What? But,
I
but
have not
yeah.
looked that up.
Oh no, it's, but the thing is, it's like channels comparable to yours. So
Huh.
I,
Interesting.
which I kind of like because I wish I could do that for YouTube because normally whenever you discover someone, it's like this person's got like 20, 30K
Mm-hmm.
subs. And it's like, he's like, and yet you feel if he's really good and he's just lacking in the editing and equipment department. But if he's got like that bright, bubbly kind of maybe let's call it like ninja kind of personality. You feel
Right.
like you found a treasure at the bottom of the river. It's like holy shit, I did it. Like
Yeah.
no one knows about this guy. He's not ruined. But you have to get really lucky. You have to spend a lot of time on YouTube to get that far.
Yeah. I mean, that's with any, well, like any competitive industry, especially when it comes to what am I trying to think of? Uh, like whenever you're trying to break in and like one day you're going to make a break, it's part of it is just you have to keep showing up, and every time you show up and do the work is another day and another chance that you're going to get spotted. And
Yeah.
the longer that you're doing that, the more likely that when you do get spotted, you're going to be ready to carry whatever light, like you're going to be able to contain whatever lightning just struck. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, I completely understand what you mean. Like that's actually my fear. Like my thing is like you're going to get lazy and then lightning's going to strike and then everybody's going to be like, "Oh my god, this guy's awesome." Or I mean like not everybody, but maybe like a couple thousand.
Right.
And then you're just going to be sitting there. Oh, I was actually like thinking about giving up. Like I actually took the month ahead people that I had scheduled and I like it's like, "Hey guys, sorry. It's not working out. I
Hmm.
wanted to make this work. I already sold my camera. So like that was the
Yeah,
last
yeah.
video and I expected no one to see it." But yeah, no, like that is like some of the good things about the internet, but it's also a fear because I have a friend who lives in Atlanta
Hmm.
and he was telling me, "Hey man, this is about the third time this has happened, but I was recognized at Walmart and they wanted a selfie because they're fans." And I'm like, the second that happens, I'm throwing all that shit in the garbage. Fuck that. Are
You
you
don't want
kidding
to be
me?
recognized at Walmart.
I don't look, I am a bubbly, extroverted person, but I'm also a wallflower who does not want you to fucking touch me. I'm like, I'm like, I couldn't imagine like so because how podcasts work, and this is something I've actually realized, recognizing like because I'm pretty much leaving my life laid bare. Like all
Yeah,
my
that's part of podcasting and
yeah, it's
any
like
content creation.
Yeah, exactly. Like imagine like a Mr. Beast or a Joe Rogan where he's like, or hell, let's say like a Burt Kreischer. Like I remember one of his specials. He's like telling stories about his daughters and like their softball practice where they're playing with imaginary ball, and like she backs up to try to catches it, misses it, runs towards it, gets frustrated, throws her glove down to an imaginary ball, and then he calls his wife and laughs about it. That is an intimate moment between him, his daughter, and his wife, and millions of people know about it and can
Yeah.
relate to it. So if I walked up to Burt Kreischer, it's like, hey man, has Isla gotten any better at softball? He's be like, who the fuck? How the fuck do you know my daughter's name? Like, imagine that shit. Like, that's
Yeah.
lunacy.
Did you ever listen to Harmontown while it was going?
Harmontown. I don't believe I've ever heard that. What
Yeah,
what is it about?
long story short, the creator or co-creator of Rick and Morty and the creator of Community had a podcast, but the podcast at from its beginning basically to its end was him showing up at, I think, a comedy theater every week and just rambling with his friends.
Okay.
And it is some of the most transparent, most interesting conversations I've ever seen. Like 70% of the time I am enjoying the ride. It's such weird stuff, but he lays everything bare. He's a very transparent person and he found a way. There's literally a documentary about it, I'm sure. And like people talk about like, oh, I just love how open he is and how much he's shared about his life. And like, man, that is such a brave position to be in. I don't know if I could do it to that level, but for him, he's able to do it and bring success from it.
Yeah. The thing is, you almost have to. Like,
Yeah.
Instagram, like the age of Instagram is slowly dying. Like,
Oh, it's kaputting right now, if you ask
no.
me.
Well, not necessarily because Instagram, because like Andrew Schultz got a comedy special off of his Instagram videos. So the 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 app itself is nowhere near dead. It's probably never going to die because you will always swipe up and like envy over those who you see as your betters. But something like a podcast or a TikTok where you are actually awarded for, I'm a 26-year-old with a shitty camera and this is the best I've got, but hey,
Yeah.
it's entertaining. You're
Well,
awarded for that. So that
oh, you
kind of
totally are.
transparency, that
Have
transparency is what culture is going towards.
Yeah. Have you heard about the guy Gary V?
Yes. Oh,
Yeah, I mean, he's
uh,
got some
yeah.
phenomenal talks, tips, and tricks about marketing and all the social media platforms. And like, I'm sure you probably heard, and if you haven't, you should go find it. But he talks about TikTok just being the wild west of these last like
Yeah.
2 or 3 years because there's very little like content regulation on it.
Oh, yeah.
They're just wanting to collect as many users onto that platform, and that is a prime time for people who want to break in or want to make a name for themselves to show up, make good content, and get followers. Because that's not happening on Instagram anymore. Because it's no longer it's you are shown the highest bidders get to be seen. It's not as much about how good your content is.
Oh, I mean, and this is another, like, this man is a legend in my eyes. Like
Yeah.
I look up to him so much. And not Gary V, but I do, but dead ass, like I watched that video this morning while I was
Oh, did you
prepping
really?
up work. Yeah, while I was prepping my stuff at work, like I listened to him. Like cuz I actually kind of had an existential crisis because again, Cabby Lame, Call Me Chris, the guy that does the feeding my pet seagull so he'll trust me. All those TikTokers, their brand is one thing. Call Me Chris has got her little sketches, which I mean, I say little, but like this is like it's almost its own TV show by now, and it should be. The seagull guy, he literally has 1 million subs on TikTok and 100K on
Wow.
YouTube, feeding
Huh.
a seagull that had the balls to fly to his window.
The, welcome to the internet.
But the legend, in my opinion, is the I don't know where he's at, but you know who Cabby Lame is, right?
I actually do not. You'll have
Okay,
to give me
so
the
he
lowdown.
is a black TikToker. I can't remember what country he's from, but it's like if you see those little Minute Maid kind of like, here's how you fix this, and then he's like, well, there's a lot simpler way, and he's like, he doesn't
Oh,
talk.
he's the
Yeah,
guy with the deadpan face being like, just
yes,
do it this way. Okay.
exactly. So hit the because his thing is he does all these different things, but the secret to his success is he doesn't speak. So there's no like language barrier.
Oh, yeah.
So a guy in Spain, a guy in China, a guy in Korea, a guy in the US, they all understand what's happening.
Yeah.
So
They sure do.
and he's hysterical without a word spoken. So like it's insane. Like I mean, it's like a joke or it's like an idea. It's like it's so obvious, but like you just have to have this idea just like choose you because like who the fuck like what is an idea anyway? Like who knows what an idea is? It's like it has to be its own like kind of a life form because I don't know what it is, but it's not just something that you think of. Like you have to be like chosen in a sense. Like I don't even know how to articulate this because like I think like in the historical record, everyone kind of started farming within, of course, everyone started farming in the last. I hate this so much. Let me
Like what is it? 6,000 years?
Yeah, like within the same 1,000 to 500 years. No, within the span of 500 years, the entire world started farming at the same time.
Mm.
So they didn't all teach each other. They all had the concept kind of formed. So
Everyone at the same time put two and two together.
exactly. But they didn't tell each other. Like Bob didn't go to Asia from Africa and be like, hey, yo, I look at this dope shit I found out. Like they all thought of it at the same time. But
Right.
who's just to say that you just need like what if ideas are just conditions and that you have to meet those conditions, like you have to
Yeah.
have a certain amount of life experience and then like a certain way of thinking. Like I mean who fucking knows, but
Yeah.
whoever however these ideas are given to you, however you think of these things, like
It's probably a testament to say that the people with the widest spectrum of experiences will probably find the next big thing.
no, exactly. And that's the thing with comedians. They are so like they have so many friends that are also comedians and they live life
Mm-hmm.
differently just because of the freedom, because of their hanging out with friends, telling stories, cracking
Yeah.
jokes. Who's to say that those like that's what it forms? So I
Mm-hmm.
mean, and then you've got this dude that works a 9 to 5 job at a factory, and then he comes home, watches 50 minutes of Fox News, eats dinner, puts his kids to sleep, and then that's his life.
Mm-hmm. And not to say that his life is not as important. It's just kind of what's he's chosen for himself. So you can't. It's hard to
Yeah.
talk against it because sometimes even if they know better, sometimes people are like, oh no, this is what I wanted for myself and I got there, and good for
No,
them.
no person that does that is ever like, this is what I've done. This is what I want for myself. That's never gonna happen.
Yeah,
That's
then
a
maybe I'm being naive in that respect.
oh yeah, it's not your fault whatsoever. But no,
Oh yeah.
no coal miner wants to be a coal miner.
All right, great. let's
It's a
let's switch power now.
oh yeah, no, absolutely. Like again, it was a another TikTok. It was like you see like it was a dude with dirty hands. It's like you see these hands. These are working man's hands. I work 12 hours a day, 6 days a week. Put food on my table. So can y'all motherfuckers please figure out the socialism thing? Because I am tired.
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah,
Wait,
I have yeah, TikTok has been a double-edged sword in terms of content. There's so much wonderful content, but I should not be spending as much time as I do on it
oh
for the
no,
most part.
it is a vacuum that
Mm-hmm.
just like because I'll remember like because I wake up at like 7 to work sometimes and then
Mm-hmm.
I'll be like 30 minutes on TikTok. Nothing. Let's find some ideas you can riff off of. Maybe you can evolve them, put your own stuff up, get your own following growing.
Yeah, make your own shit. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
And then you
especially when
yawn.
you follow all the right people. When you follow all the right people, when you're following other, for me, artists and creators and people who are doing tutorials, like, damn it, I could have done that. Or like, oh, I like that tip. I'm going to try it out. There's so much to bounce off of if you're following the right. If the algorithms got you right, it's going to start inspiring you to make content, ideally.
Oh, absolutely. Like again, going back to Gary Vee, like I've been watching him for about I'd say about 4 months, five
Uh-huh.
months, and I've just been plowing through his shit.
Yeah, I
And
just put his podcast on in the background.
oh yeah, dude, I'm telling you, podcasts are like the goat. Just like
Oh,
you've
yeah.
got an hour and a half to waste, and you don't need to like think too hard. Have someone tell you some stuff, and then make your own
And pretend
dissections out
like
of
you're
it.
listening. I will say the amount that you absorb and keep is not as high as perhaps reading a book because I don't know. I need some big brain time if I'm working design and doing After Effects. So in that span of time where I'm doing that, the podcast that's on is probably not soaking in as it could
Yeah.
were I just standing still.
Now, before I got to the current job I'm on, I was at a poultry processing plant for 10 hours a day, standing in line, fixating on one job and one job to do only, and that was grab the cut of meat that was at my station and throw it onto a corresponding belt. So 10 hours of that, nothing but podcasts, nothing but books. So like for
Man.
for the
Yeah.
year and a half that I worked there, rather than it being an absolute hell, like I learned more just working and listening to these podcasts than I did like college, high school,
Yeah.
anything.
Seriously. You're just taking mental notes the entire time, 10 hours a day for a year and a half. You're going to retain a lot of information.
Yeah. But again, back to the Gary Vee thing. There was a dude that made a TikTok of let's say like the example was here's a group of millennials that party with their friends on Saturday instead of going to yard sales and finding stuff to put on eBay, and then like he's peeking out of a door menacingly and it's like the caption of Gary V. So like that's it. That's hysterical. Like who the fuck thinks that? That is hysterical. And once you see it, once the idea is known, it's like a fucking course. That's literally the most obvious idea ever.
Yeah. It is pretty neat how the internet consciousness will just bring something into existence and
Yeah,
just share it with the rest of the brain.
it really is. And like again, like I remember watching Foods That Made America on History Channel with my parents, and they were discussing the Hydrox, which is the predecessor to or yeah, no, this is the thing. It's like they
Never
created
heard
the
of this.
yes, they created the sandwich cookie, and then somebody else like partnered with
Huh.
Hershey and made Oreo. So like when you
It's that
think
same thing with farming, except with sandwich cookies.
yeah. Well, I mean, that was an obvious, like, they obviously stole the idea.
Right.
But for a 21st century person, an Oreo is the most basic, duh idea ever. You grab two
Yeah.
cookies and put icing in between them. No shit, it's gonna work. It's delicious. It's a sandwich. Do you know how many Americans eat sandwiches daily?
I
A
don't, unless burgers fall into that, I probably don't eat
Oh,
as
it's a
many
sandwich.
sandwiches as other people.
Oh, that's a sandwich. Oh, that's a
Sure.
sandwich. That's
Is
definitely a
it?
sandwich.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Well, in that case, I might eat a couple sandwiches, but I'm not really a Subway Jimmy John's kind of guy. I don't
Yeah, yeah,
like
no, no.
cold foods for one, and it's just
Right.
a lot of bread.
Yeah, it is a lot of bread. That's not even bread. I hate to break it to you, man.
Oh yeah,
Sc-
it's probably cardboard and
oh no. Scotland said there's so much sugar that Subway can no longer legally call it bread.
you're kidding.
Dead
That's
ass.
nasty.
The Scottish Supreme Court said there is so much sugar in your quote unquote bread, it legally cannot fit the description of bread. So y'all gonna have to come up with a new one.
I'd like to say that was my reason for not eating Subway, but
It's
that is
not.
disgusting.
Yeah, no. It's almost a cake. Could you imagine? Like that, it's like it's a cake.
Yep. Eat cake
Yeah.
for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. America's
Yep.
sandwich.
But
What I'm not even surprised. Like, I am surprised, but I'm also not surprised. This is America. Your portion sizes are huge. There's secret sugar in everything, and everything causes cancer, according to every research study.
oh yeah, no, we're and then we have to worry about microplastics.
Oh, right.
We didn't
So
even
wait,
know
wait.
about
For this
that.
end of the world podcast, are we talking about why the world is going to end, or are we trying to like archive things that are good before
Yes.
the world
Yeah,
ends?
this is just pure archiving for the end of the world.
Okay. So potentially for the end of the world, was it microplastics?
Probably.
Build a time machine and tell us.
Yeah. Dude, I mean, who even knew? Like, really, microplastics? Because
I
like, there's a study that says like, so so you've got the North Pacific trash patch that breaks down into like
right.
smaller and smaller versions of plastic, and then the fish breathe it in, and it gets into their meat folds,
Yep.
and
Yep.
then you let. So there was,
And then
I think it's
predators,
like,
it goes up the food chain into larger
yeah,
and larger quantities, and then it comes to us, and now we have microplastics. In a way, it'll be a way to date us when we're fossils. You're like, oh, we can
exactly.
tell how old this dead body is by how much microplastic. According to this, I'd say the late 2020s or something like that.
Exactly. It just so that I can't remember if it's going to be by I don't even know if it's by a year. It might be happening now, but it's like if you eat wild caught fish,
Uh huh.
like a certain poundage per month, that you would digest up to a credit card's worth of plastic.
That is nasty. Have you seen Love, Death, and Robots on Netflix?
Yeah, religiously, actually. Like
Yeah, I mean, firstly,
I've actually petitioned the state to like transfer it to my religion. Like I'm trying to just get a church started. It's that good.
yeah, bottom line, like, firstly, art direction amazing, the short story
Oh
concepts, the
my god.
anthologies amazing. I think your conversation led to me thinking about this, but can you imagine like if it was something so out there that ended up ending the world? Like how did the world end? No, it wasn't global warming. No, it wasn't microplastics. No, it wasn't World War. It was sentient yogurt.
Exactly.
I would crack up if it came out of left field like that.
Oh yeah, no, because some idiot is going to just be, some idiot's just going to try and just run with it and just be like, hey, I want to be smart and famous, and it may fuck up, probably not. Let's build the Hadron Collider and make tiny black holes. And they shouldn't be able to. They shouldn't be able to, eat
Oh, geez.
everything because they should be able to dissipate before they eat everything, but maybe it doesn't one day.
Man, this world end of world stuff's freaking me out. Just the other night, actually, literally last night, I had a dream. I was just sitting in a movie theater, and basically, the whole thing just crumbled on me. And not in like, oh, someone blew up the movie theater. Like, no, the world is falling, like literally falling apart, and you are feeling the effects. So this is all just hitting me hard right now.
Oh yeah, just I can't even imagine, dude. Honestly, we've got so many things that could kill us, and like we're humans. We're not like lions or hogs with bulletproof skin. We're soft. Like the only thing we've got going for us is like we invented gunpowder. That's it.
And opposable
Barely,
thumbs.
barely that. What's a thumb gonna do when a cat's got its jaw in your throat?
Point. But I mean, these were probably like the
They help.
precursors to a lot of tools we were able to
Oh,
make.
they help. They definitely help. But unless the conditions of death is victor by thumb wards, it's not gonna help very far. If it really came down to it.
Yeah, I suppose if we're really it's us versus nature, I suppose we'll be on a lower hand because anything we do is not natural when you think of
No,
it.
no. No. Like Texas almost got its ass like it Texas almost got put down by a freak snowstorm.
I mean, wait, how are you in Alabama during all that?
It did not really affect us. Like truly.
Okay,
Like we've got Seattle at 115, we've got Texas freezing. Honestly,
it's
we've got
insane.
hurricanes in Florida, which is normal, but like honestly, my area has not really like we haven't really had anything like threatening. I think we had 3 days at my house without power after a couple of old trees that the state were like kind of ignored. It's like, well, they're dead trees and the power line people have reported it, but we're
Yeah,
going to choose to ignore it because we want to throw state funds to other projects. So
right.
we had 3 days without power, but I also have family members that have generators. So,
That's pretty resourceful.
yeah. But if you had 3 days with just straight no power, no internet, your phone's dying, you have to crank the car up and then you're wasting gas, like it's bad.
It's scary. That's
Like,
yeah. Maybe it'll be water shortages that get us, but yeah, during the last freeze this February, I was still in an apartment up in the Kansas City area. So when it swept through, I'm hearing about all the horror stories of home ownership as people are thawing their pipes
yep.
and trying waiting for power to get back on and finding creative ways to generate heat. And then I have friends. I was in Texas before I was in Kansas City, so I'm also seeing my feed on Facebook blow up with all my Texas friends being like, "Oh yeah, our pipes burst. There's flooded apartment because of the freeze or something like that." And it just hit hard in that Midwest
Yeah.
area.
And some people are just not ignorant by their own fault. I mean, if you look at it kind of in a pessimistic way, maybe, but like like the wildest thing that happened, and again, like ultimately, because I'm not a horrible person, it's really not their fault. But like the one way that people went was, I'm going to crank the car in my garage and then that will keep us warm. Or
Oh
I'm going
no.
to light a charcoal grill in the living room or in a small closet and then that will keep us warm. And then they just fell asleep and didn't wake up. Like, because that shit happens. Like, I think in Seattle, they were talking about, and again, this is a new concept that is horrifying, wet bulb temperature. Do you know what that is?
What bold temperature?
Wet bulb.
No, I have not.
Okay, so it's this kind of perfect alignment of horror where the humidity and the temperature are in alignment such that you can't sweat the heat away.
Huh.
So you literally just broil.
Ooh,
So like
that sounds horrible.
so just in case you don't know, and for any listeners that don't know, the act of sweating itself is not you just like you sweat the heat off of you. The heat gets off of you by your blood vessels taking more blood to the surface of the skin and then that moisture being pushed off, and as it evaporates,
It cools
that's
your
what
blood
takes the
vessels
heat off.
down.
Yes, exactly, that's what takes the heat off. But
Right.
the humidity is such and the heat is such that it's so hot that you need to sweat, but it's so humid that
That the water
nature,
just sticks to you.
yeah, there's no osmosis. There's no like
It doesn't
transfer of
cool off.
water. Exactly.
It
There's no
doesn't
trans.
evaporate.
Yep. It just
So you're
doesn't
just making
evaporate.
water for water's sake and not for cooling off.
Yeah, exactly. Because that your body doesn't know any better. Your body doesn't know about wet bulb temperature. It just knows when you're hot, you sweat. That's the bodily function.
That's a basic like this ought to work, which thank
Exactly.
goodness our body does that, but like in the one occasion where it's going to mess you up. Oof.
Yeah. Like and I was like telling my dad, it's like, oh yeah, no, we knew about that when I was over in Germany. I was like, so we knew about it. It's just we never needed to know about it. And now we
Right.
have this like because like even like in the shade, the ambient air temperature and ambient humidity is such to where you would literally just die. Like you would have to like have a lot of air rushing towards you to help dry you off, or you'd have to get in a body of water. But if you were just in the middle of a field, 100 miles in every direction in wet bulb temperature, you would die in a couple of hours.
Yeah, I'm a check out. That
Yeah,
doesn't sound
right.
fun.
And then like 70% of the northwest doesn't have air conditioning because they've never needed it.
Yeah, I don't know if this is Northwest, but my fiance went to Colorado this last weekend, and like some of the places that she went to didn't have air conditioning,
Yep, they
but
never needed it.
nowadays that doesn't really work in your favor anymore.
Nope, it
So
sure don't.
some of those nights were not as comfortable as they probably were 20 or 30 years ago.
Oh my God, I have to sleep in 65-degree like temperature to fall asleep, or I start sweating and I just can't
What
do
are
it.
you doing in Alabama then?
Oh, I was
Your gas and
born
electric is
here.
insane.
That's not really that bad. I've got a pretty efficient system.
All right,
But
well, good for you. I also probably a low temperature sleeper, but we got to keep it 73 around here.
oh, oh, like
Just
I
for starters.
and again, Texas. They were so scared with all the new people and and like their electric system is garbage to begin with. Almost died during the freeze, but with the heat waves coming, they're like, "Hey guys, you're gonna have to sleep in 80-degree on your thermostat." I'm like, "Who the fuck can fall asleep at 80 degrees?"
Yeah, that
Uh,
not me. I
not
don't think it
I.
was as insane, but I have family down in Texas, and when I visit them, I check their thermostat and I do a double take. Like, is that set to 79? And for me, that was insane. But like for them, it's saving power and it's normal. Just keep the fan circulating the air, and you should be good.
I would rather sleep outside. Truly,
Yeah, as long
I
as
would.
there's wind, I suppose.
Yeah, I would rather sleep outside because unless you've got a really good fan and you just sleep with no covers, it's gonna be hot.
Yeah. No, that adds up. And
Just
this is like this is wonderful conversation. I am getting so like dystopianly
oh yeah,
depressed right now. Let's I'm gonna we're gonna change a topic brief like to see where else we can go. We're gonna
yes.
change the trajectory right now.
Oh yeah, no. Yeah,
So
we definitely need to do that. Oh,
hey,
it's
thank you for. I mean, at the very beginning, I didn't have a chance to express, but I'm so glad you like my art. Thank you for saying such nice things at the beginning of
oh
the
no,
podcast.
I do. I
So,
had like because honestly, not only do I like your art, I'm hoping because like I have people on because I like their stuff, but not only because I like their stuff, but
yeah,
like it's I'm hoping to cultivate relationships
yeah,
because honestly, not only do I need to learn vicariously through guests just to like better myself in self-education, but if this goes how I hope it does,
hmm
I'm going to need people who know how to do stuff, whether it be just off of like a quick little chat or like I mean just anything, honestly, who knows? Like it's better to have and not need than need and not have. So,
yeah,
yeah, you get your people. You have your guys that are good at philosophy. You have your guys that are good at tech. You have your guys that are good at drawing. Like who knows when you may need that? So why not?
yeah. I mean, this world, it blesses the curious and the
Exactly.
multifaceted. Like, I didn't know I would learn so much about aquariums. I know it's weird. Like, but like, hey, I know about aquariums now because my fiance and I are big fish people, so we're learning how to take care of our aquariums. I just got a house recently, so I'm learning all the ways of taking care of a house. And
Yeah.
I'm not learn. I learned some of it by like talking to people with experience, but some of that's just YouTube and stuff like
It
that.
really is. It really is. Like, and again, Brian, I believe his name's Brian Hale. He's a
He was your
dude.
last episode on
Yeah,
aquariums. I looked through
yeah,
the episode list that you had.
yeah. Oh no, love it. Like I don't know if you really got into the episode, but the aquarium, like I've got 30 minutes of him just showing me his corals. Like he has these giant 20-foot, maybe half a
Oh
foot
wow,
deep, like breeder kind of aquariums where he like breaks off pieces of coral super glues them to tile and just lets them propagate. So he has these
wow,
giant tiles of coral just growing underwater. And then
that's
someone's like, I'd like,
incredible.
yeah, he's like, I want that one. And then he ships it off to someone. and it just spends 2 years growing to its final form. And I'm like,
That's incredible.
that's fantastic. That is fascinating.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think great thing about doing podcasts and is just building empathy. And in whatever viewers come to see this, they build empathy through it as well.
Yeah.
It's nice to listen to people talk sometimes.
It really is, because not only is it just, it gives you a moment to just relax and not have to
Mm-hmm.
think about something. You also, like, you might like it. You might be inspired to do something yourself. Like,
Yeah.
say someone listening right now, say they like, they're here in Alabama. Let's say, because it's always like the kid in the country that like he likes drawing or he likes dance or whatever he does, and then it's just like, no, you work in the coal mine like your pappy and his pappy before him, and that's what you do. But and for generations, it's like he had that kind of like sparkle in his eye about whatever he was passionate about, and then just years of that, like, this is what you do because this is what we've all done. That's
Mm-hmm.
just what it is. Like, originally, children, like, it had to be federally mandated back in the day that, and this was before the No Child Left Behind Act thing, but it was, I don't know if it was like federally mandated, but it was strongly encouraged that children go to school,
Mm-hmm.
because they weren't, like, parents wouldn't let them read or like learn how to learn because maybe they didn't know how to read. And then, well, I don't want my kid to be smarter than me, and farming the land is good enough for me, so it's good enough for him. But then you just have generation upon generation of just like, and not by their own fault,
That
but
just, I
stupid
mean, what you
people.
described just sounds like the start of so many animated TV shows that we have today. That I don't want to do what the family's doing. I'm gonna do
Exactly.
something different. That's, I mean,
Exactly.
the Croods, Ratatouille, Rapunzel.
Yeah.
You can keep going.
Yeah. It's actually one of my most memorable episodes of Little House on the Prairie. It was a kid that wanted to learn, and then, like, his dad didn't want him picking up a book, so he had to like smuggle them into the house and like read under the candlelight. And he's like, you think you, like, the dad just went straight to like straight to defending himself. He's like, you think you're better than me, boy, just because you can read, and then hits him. And it's just like, that's not at all what's happening. It's like, can you just not be glad that your kid wants to better himself because you didn't have the opportunity?
I cannot imagine being in any of those positions. Like
No.
in this generation, like I can't imagine like what mindset would you have to be that you don't want the best for your child.
Oh no, yeah, we can. Our parents didn't want us playing video games, and then at his height, Ninja made 100K a month.
Well, it's because our parents didn't know that you could make 100K a month potentially.
Exactly, but that never
They
stopped.
want
Like,
what's best in their lens. I guess in a way you
exactly,
are right. Yeah.
exactly, and like, and this is kind of a weird kind of thing to take it, because we don't really know the ramifications of this. But what happens when an 18, 19, 20-year-old person's like, I want to make 100K a month real quick off OnlyFans, and then your parents are like, you want to do what? You want to put porn of yourself on the internet? It's like, it makes money, yes, but it's like, who will never? I like, that would ruin lives. Like 10, 15 years ago, a nude of you getting leaked would ruin lives. But Belle
Yeah.
Delphine consistently makes millions of dollars hand over fist.
Yeah.
And it's not really that big of a deal. Not really.
It's so crazy culture we have right now. Just when everything is becoming permissible, it's it's in a way normalizing it is a positive thing in a sense that once it's in the regular talk, people will be able to talk about it more, leading to hopefully some underlying truth to it all that might, I mean, I don't know if I actually formed a full thought before I started this sentence.
No, you're fine. I mean, that's essentially what a podcast is. I mean, hell, who knows? I mean, OnlyFans may be the grave, like, there might be documentaries for years to come about the gravest mistake that humanity has ever brought upon itself.
Angry Birds.
Now, look, we're already in agreement with that one, but I'm like, it may be like OnlyFans may ruin us. Like, who knows? Honestly, who knows? Like, like grandma and grandpa may have been right. It's like keep it in the bedroom. That's it. Nothing else. Or
Mhm.
it doesn't matter. You have tribes in Africa that walk around topless because they don't objectify breast as much as like
Yeah,
Eastern, as much as Western like society does. And they're just
right.
fine with it. But it's, I don't know. It's like we don't know. Like literally only time will tell.
Yeah, only time will tell how this all pans out. And it's, yeah, it's a culture thing too. When you were talking about how France, like, oh yeah, it's no big deal that people's boobs are out or anything like that.
Yeah.
I think it must be just a common Western thing where, and I think it comes into play with Christianity and probably some
Oh
other
yeah. Oh yeah.
religions, that like sex has been put on a pedestal and
No,
has been
not just a
defined.
pedestal. A pedestal that has been shoved into the back of a deep dark closet you can only
Yeah, it's
access.
been put on a pedestal, but a pedestal that sits in a closet. That's an interesting way of putting it. But it's weird because it's something that's said to be like, oh, it's something that you have restrictively with one person and stuff like that. And
Yeah. They used to
it's
kill people for premarital
I
sex.
know.
It is still illegal in the state of Alabama to perform oral sex. It's not enforced, but it's on the books, technically.
Ah, that's funny. I did not know that.
It's so bad. Like I remember I wanted to do a series, and I still might do it. And this might ruin it. But I mean, I doubt someone will listen to this and be like, I'm stealing that. There are so many stupid laws across so many states, especially my own, that like it's illegal to wrestle a bear. Who the? It's like I can
Oh
understand
yeah, there's some pretty
why.
hilarious ones out there.
I can understand why, but like still, that's dumb. That shouldn't be on the books. Like,
Or you want to know the story that led up to that law needing to be made.
right. Like no one writes a law that it's illegal to put your hand in a blender because nobody's dumb enough to do that more
Well,
than a
at the
couple of
same
times.
time, have you seen all the warning labels that come with some of the products we have today?
Yeah.
And you look
Yeah.
at that, and then you look at the world, and you're thinking, what dumbass
I still
decided
laugh.
this would be a good idea, that it warranted a label?
Yeah. I still laugh when I see Tide Pods at Walmart.
Jeez Louise.
It's a like I said, it's a brave new world, but some of those poor suckers are gonna die horrible deaths on the way. Like they will be remembered.
Yes, survival of the fittest, I guess. Or
Yeah. Yeah. It's supposed to be, but then at the same time, it's like you kind of like it's kind of like this. It's kind of like coronavirus. It's like we could just say, hey, if you're not strong enough to make it, that's your fault. But we also can't have 3% of the population die because that's a lot of people. That's at least 1 million people.
man, yeah. Ah, I'm that's just insane. The Tide Pod thing. I remember when that came through. I don't think I was in the States. When was that? 2013 or something?
Some I dude, I still think 2009 was like 5 minutes ago.
I have some general timestamps in my life because I didn't come to the States until 2013.
Oh wow, where did
And
you come from?
I was in Thailand. Oh, Thailand. Yeah.
I was about that
Sorry,
was
I moved from Thailand to Texas, so you can imagine the jokes I got.
oh oh yeah, no. So was that just somewhere you're originally from?
Yes. So my mom is Thai, my dad is American, and so I grew up in Thailand for 18 years before I headed to Texas for college.
See, that's another thing that Americans have no idea that exists, and something I regret. Like I could have never changed it, but I regret it almost every day. You can just go to a different country for college and probably for free.
Yeah,
International universities, they're like, please, as
yeah. I
many
mean, yeah.
Americans as you could possibly fathom, just come on over.
It's a there's actually a funny story a little bit to this. I went to ACU, which is Abilene Christian University,
Eh,
And it's kind of funny, the reason why they have a lot of foreign exchange students pass through there is because when people out of the country are looking through a list of American colleges alphabetically, one of the
Yep.
first ones is ACU. So
Yep.
one thing led to another. My mom met my dad, and here I am.
Yeah. And I'll be telling our kids pretty much the same thing. Well, see, son, your mother kind of fucked up and pissed off the Vietnamese government. So they made it to where she couldn't be part of any kind of social outreach programs, which would qualify her for a scholarship in her home country. So she had to go to an international college, and that just so happened to bring her to Troy, Alabama, where she met your dad, and that's why you're here. So, yeah, wild
It's
shit.
like one small aspect, one small choice is the one thing led to another.
It really is. It's wild. Like, she has no business being in America, especially in Alabama. Like, really? You're going to go
I hate to
Alabama?
say it, but that does kind of like perk me up. Like, oh, that is interesting.
That's what? Like, who pulled the strings there? Like,
Like,
he who remains is like, this is going to be a really difficult needle to thread, but God damn it, I'm going to fucking do it.
it sounds like you were watching Loki, He Who Remains, right?
Oh, yeah, no, who hasn't been? It was so good.
Hey, I'm actually at this point impressed and respect those who are like, oh yeah, I don't watch the Marvel movies. And even though I don't
Right.
partake in the lack of Marvel movies, I look at them like, way to go. That's an impressive feat
Right.
because
Because
it is blasting you everywhere.
it's so much, it's everywhere. Like every other TikTok I stream through, it's someone stitching Miss Minutes's voice actor.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
It's like it's everywhere. Like it's alligator Loki memes all over the
Yeah.
place.
And just to think about how it all started with just Iron Man, I actually
Oh
still
my god.
remember my reaction to watching Iron Man. I was a kid, still in Thailand. And have you've seen it, I'm presuming?
Of course I have multiple
Yeah.
times. But run
Good,
through
good,
that.
good.
What must that have been like? Because I've seen a whole bunch of like because they just slap subtitles on that bitch and let it run
Oh,
in
for me,
English.
yeah, I watched it in English and there were Thai subtitles at the bottom for everyone else. I think you can watch it dubbed if you wanted to, but I didn't. So,
That
watched
that's
Iron
an
Man. I was like, this
experience.
is good. And then they drop, oh, we just call it Shield. And I'm like, oh, okay. And then the after credit scene where Nick Fury like shows up and says, like, I'm planning to put a team together.
Bro.
Literally, I got like I just started fist pumping, yelling at the top of my lungs, going, yes, 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 because I had just gotten into comics and I
Okay.
was jumping in with like the Marvel Comics Ultimate Universe, where Nick Fury literally looked like Samuel L. Jackson. So it was like that movie was perfectly made for me as I was understanding the comics.
Yeah.
And I freaked the fuck out for it. And that's I mean, that the rest is history. Here I am making comics, wanting to tell my own stories.
Exactly. Because like no one had really tried a cinematic universe
No,
before.
no one has.
No. Like, because you would, like, as I remember in Spider Man, I think there was a couple of kind of like hints towards like different heroes because New York City has so many heroes. I mean,
Oh yeah.
it almost made sense, even if it was just the New York City heroes. Like, it would
Mhm.
just make sense because you got Daredevil in Queens or Hell's Kitchen, you've got Luke
The
Cage in
Punisher, you've
Queens.
got Jessica Jones, you've got
Exactly.
Spider-Man, you've got Iron Man, you've got Cap is also at Brooklyn.
Yeah,
You've got
well, he was
the
in Brooklyn, but he was more of international. But still, there's no reason that he wouldn't like have like a condo in Brooklyn.
right, right. But yeah, the cinematic universe is it you would think it's getting out of hand, but for some reason, some
More,
impressive reason, they've kept it pretty streamlined, which
more. I want more.
yeah, yeah, I
I want more.
I want more with wait, with a what is this? What is it? With a contract with some contingencies. Like
Uh huh.
there's a couple things if you're going to keep making more, there needs to be a couple things that you need to be checking off. I think
Run him, run him.
um they need to be comfortable killing people.
Yes, absolutely.
Um They are starting to follow cookie cutter plots. The
Yeah.
movies are at least following cookie cutter plots. I haven't actually seen Black Widow, but I hear it can be pretty standard,
Uh-huh.
like cut and paste with some of the other plots that we've had. It's amazing that their movies are starting to. I'm wondering as more movies come from Marvel if they're going to continue to be stale and basic, and the only out of the box thinking we're going to get is going to be through their Disney Plus channel, because
Yeah.
WandaVision came
Oh
out of
my
left field and how
God.
creative that
Holy
was.
fucking shit. Just oh, and I've always said, especially after like Arrow, like when Arrow came out, have you ever seen that?
I
Green Arrow on
Yeah, I
CW?
saw a couple seasons and then checked out eventually.
Yeah. So they kind of got a little dull, but the first two seasons, I was like, this is better than a movie.
Oh yeah.
This is
And
better than a
so yeah,
movie.
WandaVision knocked it out of the park. Loki knocked it out of the park. I think what's really good about those two shows that came out was both of them were made for educated viewers. And by educated, I don't mean like they were smart, though they probably were smart. I'm talking about like
Knowledgeable.
like movie people. They were movie
Exactly.
people. They knew all the TV references. They were
Uh-huh.
raised off of some of that. They understand, like, oh, I see what's going on here. And same thing for Loki, where it wasn't like, oh, here are all the movie references. It would literally stepped back, and I don't if you remember that first episode, they're literally talking about, hey, your Loki, your purpose in life is to fail so that other people can become better. It's
Exactly.
literally, it's very close to if Loki just suddenly appeared in a writer's room at Marvel and they were deciding what Loki was going to do.
Yeah.
So,
And then they made all the Avengers movies completely useless. Just be like, oh yeah, the Infinity Stones. Yeah, we use those as paperweights.
yeah, they're definitely setting themselves up for a very tall order with whatever phase is coming next.
Yeah, the multiverse, Secret Wars, just whoo. And I'm
Just
telling you, man.
I am really hoping to some oh shit moments that pay off.
Yeah, like
Because
they really like, especially with Coulson, like when he first died, and then oh,
uh-huh.
spoiler alert, he came back to life. The Agents of Shield. It's like,
Right.
that's kind of a cap there, guys. That's a little like that's kind of wasted tears. Like you should have killed him, and then
Mm-hmm.
they killed. And then they killed Wanda's brother, but there's a potential that he's going to come back through the multiverse.
Yeah, and then
They've
that
already introduced the
WandaVision tease was a
yeah,
little frustrating.
that's kind of bullshit.
Yeah. But like, okay, you kept us hooked for the next episode, but you really
Right.
should have paid that off better.
Yeah. But I mean, it's whatever. Who knows when the multiverses merge?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe he's taking care of the kids in the other multiverse. It's like, hey,
Here's my
it's
conspiracy thought.
uh-huh.
I bet that when after that episode premiered, Disney was literally just watching the entire social media verse, checking like, okay, what's the reception like if we decide we want to replace a cast member with an existing cast member, given the fact that we are have they already acquired Fox and all that shenanigan stuff?
Yeah.
So like with all that having gone on, like, okay, if we're going to be replacing people and recasting people, how should we go about it? So I'm sure that was some sort of beta test to see people's
Yeah.
reactions.
Absolutely. But I mean, another thing is, and in talking about conspiracy theories, I got super just destroyed one night and like almost had a panic attack because I thought they were going to do this with the Black Widow movie. Since this was
Oh,
kind of a prequel to before she like went to Shield and she had like
uh-huh.
that female sidekick, I was so convinced. Like, I don't know what caused it over me. I thought it was like some like stoner intuition or whatever have you. But I
Yeah.
swore, and maybe they did, and just no one's talking about it because, well, no, I feel like they would have talked about it. I thought they were going to retcon her to having a same sex relationship with her partner for like kind of like J.K. Rowling, kind of like, oh yeah, Dumbledore's gay. Boom, hammer
Huh.
drop.
Huh.
Because they could have done it
Yeah.
and the streets would have cheered with applause.
Hmm. Interesting. But that didn't end up happening, did it?
I don't believe so. I have not seen
Okay.
the movie, but I feel like there would have been like articles, so many articles.
Yeah, that's, I mean, part of making work, I mean, part of telling stories today is how much you can talk about them afterwards, which
Yeah,
is,
really,
yeah.
really.
So even when you make something that's really incredible, sometimes it's not going to be talked about,
No.
which sometimes kind of sucks. For example, I think, I mean, have you heard of the director Denis Villeneuve? I hope I pronounce his name correctly, but
Definitely not. What did he do? Bravo.
anyways, I think he's made some of the most interesting, outstanding movies in the literal sense. Like they really pop from all the other stuff that's being made. And I feel like they haven't gotten the attention that they've deserved. Like, did you ever see Arrival?
I don't believe so, but honestly, I suck at names. I'm more better at
Now
like
you're fine.
faces.
Did you see Blade Runner 2049?
Okay, yeah. I've seen Blade
Okay.
Runner.
He's responsible for that, among many
Oh.
other things that are just as beautifully told. And they're so good, but none of them have gotten the same amount of press, in part just because, I don't know, they're not as, look at what we did with this original character or something.
Yeah.
None of the work that he does besides Blade Runner 2049 has really played towards the demographics nostalgia bone, which is kind of a
Yeah.
bummer because I, as someone who wants to make my own stories and wants to tell original content, whenever I hear Disney's making another live action remake or going to make a sequel to another Star Wars or whatnot, I'm like,
Oh my God.
yeah, okay, but
Maybe not.
I mean, like, can you leave? Like, they're just gonna milk their cows for as long as I can. Which, like, from a
Yeah.
money perspective, I get it. Go for it. I just hope those cows die
Oh yeah, no,
faster.
my wife hates it. She's like, I swear to God, like she can understand Avengers because it's like the comics have gone for 50 years, but she's like,
Mm-hmm.
look, this show should have ended at season 2. Like literally 13 Reasons Why should have ended at season 1.
Wait, yeah, wait. Doesn't that end with the main character committing suicide?
There are 2 more seasons.
Okay.
The thing is, the book, spoiler alert, she was supposed to have faked her death, which I don't know how that happens, but whatever. But
This is
yeah,
getting into
no,
some
if
Sherlock
she
Holmes.
dies, it's the end of the series. You just what? How? No, she's dead. Make it a
Yeah.
good series. Like the Koreans, like K dramas, they fucking nailed this shit. Crash Landing into You, 18 episodes, an hour and a half long, or somewhat, one
Mm-hmm.
season, wrapped
Beginning
up
to
in a
end and done.
yeah, beginning end, done. That's it. Next project. I'm like, fuck yeah,
Oh, that sounds
yes.
beautiful. I mean, I'm not much for Korean drama, so I know at one point my mom was into those. But there needs to be some,
Finality.
we need finality in our lives, and you keep loose ends open and
Mm-hmm.
you keep closing and opening, we're gonna just check out. Or either that or you need to feed your cow something else, because right now the milk ain't that good anymore.
Dude, they have yanked off 3 of the udders off of the Fast and Furious cow, and that bitch is still giving milk.
I what, I've only watched like 5 of the 10, wait, 9 that are
9.
out. No, I guess
Oh my
10 if you
God.
count that spinoff.
So check
Yes.
this. What do you think about the conspiracy that the Fast and Furious people put up a meme campaign? So you've noticed all the Dom
I
Torero
did.
family memes. What do you think about that being a marketing campaign? What are your thoughts
I
on that
am
conspiracy?
on terms of the pyramids conspiracy because um
Right. Dun, dun, dun,
because
dun.
I'm going to put that on the like plausible to probably tier, because the amount of memes that I saw all at once
Instantly.
was a little unsettling.
Overnight.
And also the quality of the memes were
So
so
good.
bad that I can imagine some guy who was hired to do this, who did not have a super strong pulse of the internet trying to create these or
But I
something
mean,
like
now
that.
the original ones, yes, absolutely. But Once everybody figured out, for whatever reason, these memes are going viral, we got some creative motherfuckers that really went to town on them.
It just, I don't know. Like, if that were to be true, I wouldn't be surprised because I can imagine some guy being like, oh, look what the young kids are doing. I'm going to make memes. And then
Yeah.
does this. And technically it works, but everyone who is internetally educated, trademarked, um, is looking at that and being like, I know what you did. And please stop.
No, because so another TikToker that is obscenely famous off of doing one thing. It's a guy who has a whole bunch of different cars and he runs a treadmill, and then Dom Torero figure is standing on top of a custom model, not custom model, but of a figure of his Mustang or Charger, whatever kind of trying wannabe 70s muscle car he's driving. And it's like Dom Torero versus the entire Marvel Cinematic Universe. And it's got a whole bunch of like Spider-Mobile, Iron Man cars, and they just go, and he's like, will family win? And like,
Oh my
it's
God.
like cars are crashing each other, knocking each other off, and then Dom Torero wins every single time. It's like, family's done it once. I'm like, don't really, but die. Don't
No,
really, because
I need,
don't. But go
like,
somewhere. Turn off
there
your
will,
internet.
there would be franchises that I'd miss, but I think like if it was all or nothing, if all the current franchises were to just die, like anything that has a sequel or a spinoff, if it died, I think
We'd
I
be
would
better
prefer
off,
that.
truly. We would.
I
We
think
would be
there's going to be a
better
lot
off.
of butthurt fans that are losing their childhood, like, you know, their childhood comfort food, but I think it could make way for things that could actually invoke
Absolutely.
some change, because with all
Absolutely.
these franchises, there are all these unspoken rules that are being built and teaching people, oh, this is what you're comfortable with, this is what you enjoy. We're going to keep feeding this to you because chicken tenders is the thing that you enjoy at every single restaurant you go to.
We have
And
purposely
if you
been
take,
fed.
but if you take the figurative chicken tenders, the franchises off the menu,
Uh-huh.
you have the opportunity to try something new
Yeah.
and to learn something about humanity, about yourself, and maybe build some empathy towards something that you never experienced before. Like when you try and learn and hear new stories, you're opening your eyes to a whole lot of other stuff.
Yeah. It's like, and also we have like The Boys and Invincible.
Yeah,
If so good. And then they want to ruin it with an Invincible live action, which
that's
they
no, that's too much overlap,
yeah,
too much dystopia.
they might fuck that up. Yeah, no, it's good. It's good because it's a cartoon. But like, if we had Invincible with like The Boys kind of gore, like I had to pause. Like I'm not like in any way, shape, or form a pussy, but but when Robin died, the first 5 minutes, I had to pause that video and just like contemplate that hurt me more than it should have.
And
Why?
maybe it was supposed to, like, I don't know. We should always feel that disturbed when shit like that happens.
Honestly, it's probably a good thing. I mean, like if I watch that, he's like, "Ooh, damn, GG no
Yeah.
refam, rip."
when it comes to violence, I think there's buckets of blood Tarantino, and it almost has a comedic effect. But if you're playing
Exactly.
it to a dark, broody,
Oh my
what if
god,
superheroes were real take, that's some dark stuff. Which is why, if
dude,
you ask me, I think like even though The Boys season 1, 2, I actually think are wonderfully made,
10
but
out of
like in
10.
terms of being able to like let it sit there and like actually enjoy it and like, oh, I can't wait for the next season, and you don't feel as heavy burdened, I
No.
really like Invincible.
Yeah, no, I can watch Invincible 2 or 3 more times.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to put myself through The Boys for a second time.
Yeah, exactly. Like I would happily.
Like
I have
how
actually watched.
he how he cried. Like he was like, Robin. I was like, nope, that's too real. That was too real. Can't pause. Like,
Jeez.
I need to be consoled. Where's my wife? Time out. I need a hug. Hold on. The stop. Nope. Nope. Is she okay? Everybody all right?
Yeah,
I need a roll call. I need to call my mom. You say
that
every
honestly speaks to how important. Sorry, there's a little fruit fly. Okay, it's gone. It kind of speaks to the importance of
if
things
you
that
say
are not live
family.
action. There's a little fruit fly. It's disappeared.
No, but
But
when you were saying how important things were, and I'm so sorry to interrupt you, but that would have been so perfect. I was like, if you say family, I swear to God.
damn it, I missed my chance.
You, dude,
Uh,
you did. It's
but
okay.
what was my point? The point being, I think when you put Invincible up next to The Boys, I think it shows the importance of things that are not live action, because
Yeah.
I think things that are not live action tend to get away with deeper and like sometimes deeper and especially darker stuff, because like man, when some like think about something like Schindler's List, like that's a live
Oh,
action that is
that's
super intense to go
that's
through.
hard to
It's
watch.
incredibly powerful, but not everyone's going to be able to stomach their way through that entire
No,
movie. On
no.
the other hand, and this is maybe too far off on the other hand, but like there's a critically renowned graphic novel called Mouse, and it's a two-part book, comic that is also about the Holocaust, but it is through comics and is done in a cartoon way, and the art is minimal, and all the characters are anthropomorphized. So like the Jews are depicted as mice, the
So kind of like
Polish are depicted as
Farmhouse.
pigs. It's like completely cartoony, and they go through nearly the exact same content. Like this is how horrible it was to be a Jew during World War II. But so both cover the same amount of content, but one is able to sit there longer before you have to stop reading or watching it.
Oh yeah. I mean, and now I don't know why, but we watched Schindler's List in like ninth grade in my high school, which
Ah,
in
jeez.
retrospect is a lot to throw. No, no, no. So we watched Passion of the Christ in fucking eighth grade in a private school. This is before I
Oh
went back to
God.
my final high school. But like both times, both movies, there were people that had to be excused because they just couldn't handle the like when that girl, when like they colorize her jacket both times when she's walking down the street as like this happy little Jewish
Ugh.
girl, and then that shit comes out on a fucking wheelbarrow. I'm like, okay, check
We're
please.
done.
We're done. Have a good one.
Yeah.
Like people like there's like literal I can remember this is like one of these core memories. Like I
Mm-hmm.
remember like stuff back when I was 3 or 4. Like this is one of these I won't forget this. Like this is one of these inside out core memories. People just like one girl, swear to God, like we're dead silence and this one girl just goes just breaks out in the middle of the movie. Teacher like pauses it, turn the lights on, excuses her to the nurse. Like this person was broken. This
Jeez.
broke this.
Yeah.
That's bad. I'm like, fuck.
Yeah. I mean, like, but like on end, like someone's got to tell that story, and
And
for
you're
Steven
right.
Spielberg, that was the way he did it, and
You're right. It
it
has. You've
is
got to know. You
it
can't
has
just.
been engraved in cinema history, and like in history itself, no one's going to forget that. In a sense, good. We should not be ever reliving that sort of scenario again. But man, enough about the
It's,
Holocaust. Let's talk movies.
dude, it's so bad. Like, I mean, it's it says a lot about our generation how easily it is to go to these dark sides because honestly, like it's we're not that far from it. I mean, truly.
All right. Yeah. I mean, I'm gonna be interested to see what art history is gonna say about this time and
Oh
area.
my
What's
god.
something that's like a good news before the end of the world for you?
Dude, I mean, maybe in some twisted way in the next 20 years we get some type of Ready Player One situation to where it's affordable to the point or necessary to where to distract us from the world burning we can immerse ourselves in this digital utopia. Maybe.
Wait, okay, so that sounds like if If there is a way to digitally transfer your body
No, I
into
mean
the
like a
digital
video
realm,
game.
you would do it.
So, like Ready Player One. Have you ever seen that movie? Read the
I
book?
read the book 3 times
Oh
and I
my
watched
God,
the
another
movie.
book reader. Oh my God. Okay, look, I hate these people. These people deserve no quarter, but the book was so much better than the movie.
Oh, yeah. And I mean,
I hate those
after having
people.
read it 3 times, I do have my qualms with the book too. But yes, the book was better than the movie.
Yeah.
The, the movie was beautiful, though.
Oh, the movie was great with the licensing that they could afford.
That's a good way of putting it. Yeah.
Yeah. They did okay. Like you can't and I guess this isn't really a spoiler, but you can't really do Joust. Like
No,
that's
it's
really
not a
specific.
cinematically compelling story. Can
Nope.
you imagine actually filming that
Oh my
and trying
God.
to make that
With an
bigger than
elder
life
lynch,
awesome?
with an elder lynch, just like, haha, I'm going to get you. It's like that's dumb.
You know what? You know what a better way to put this is? I think Ready Player One would have been more accurate to the book were it animated.
And in
I think that
series
could have worked.
form on Netflix, absolutely.
Yeah, I could see it. But we don't need any more repeats. So
No, we don't.
sorry,
No,
Ready Player One either has to die
we're
or
gonna
make a
we're gonna wait
sequel.
20 years. We can wait 20 years. That'll be fine.
Okay.
Because once we perfect it, it doesn't need to be touched. But until it's perfected,
I mean, 20 years from now, hopefully there's enough resources that are publicly available that people will just be making their own movies left and right. And
yeah,
then,
honestly, I mean, truly, like we need some type of like AI kind of skit protocol or however you would do that I am
yeah,
nowhere near smart enough to be able to formulate. But yeah, we need something. And hopefully we will have something because
yeah.
I too want to play as King Arthur in Monty Python's The Holy Grail.
Oh, yeah. That'd be pretty hilarious.
Dude, the
That'd be a
second
fun game.
the second that's what Netflix needs to do. Dead ass. Netflix is going to have video games coming soon. Dead ass. They
Yeah, I
need to
heard
do
about
that.
that.
They need to partner with Oculus or Facebook needs to buy Netflix, and that's what we need to do.
I either need to find a game like this or this game needs to be implemented. Have it's actually have you read the book The Seven Lives or the oh, okay, there's a book out there had a really novel idea, a new twist on the who done it.
Uh-huh.
And it was following this character that that was living the same day over and over, but every time he died at the end of one sequence, he would wake up in the same day, but as a different character in this who done it. And his
Holy
job was to find out
shit.
who did it. And I
I love
think
that.
there's a basic twist to do that. Like make this a video game, have like a set between this time and this time at this location. You can wander everywhere and do anything you want, and your job is to find out who did it. And then you could like talk to all these different with all these dialogue trees and a lot of cause and effect within this small time window and just to figure it all out. I thought that would be pretty cool.
Yeah. Have you ever read Stephen King's The Dome?
I have not.
Fuck. Anywho, one of my favorite books. Truly.
Okay.
Like so good. I highly recommend to anyone listening. But
I'll add it to my audiobook list.
yes, it's 16 hours, so prepare yourself.
Perfect.
But I was like, what happens if, because like there are so many different things that like a fly on the wall could intervene and change the entire course of a book. Stopping a murder that would then implicate someone else at like the climax or near the climax or the halfway
Yeah.
point. So it could be an incredible kind of, especially like not Ready Player One, but like again, the Dome, which is something I would like if I have $1 million, I will go broke making this possible. Like I want it that badly. But what happens after the Dome? Let's say 6, 7, 10 characters. You do everything perfectly. You unlock sandbox mode,
Ooh.
where you're a character. You have nothing to. You're not the main character. You're not the side character. You're not the villain. You're not any of the supporting cast. You're a random dude generated, but you have free reign, and you know the book because you've got perfect scores on everything. So you're not getting murdered, or let's say what happens if so the protagonist, and it's not going to be that big of a spoiler, it happens the first 5 minutes. The protagonist is trapped in the city where a impenetrable dome collapses around the city.
Huh.
So in the book, there was a lady that drives by and he kind of like tries to like flag her down, and it looks like she's going to do it, but at the last second she changes her mind. What would happen in that book if I was to grab that lady, throw her out, steal her vehicle, and then give him a ride right before the dome closed, and everything that he would do in solving that mystery at the end doesn't
And
happen
just a fun
anymore?
butterfly effect right there.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
All right. So you're a Stephen King fan. Are you? I'm trying to think something along those areas, or at least something I would understand. I've been currently going through Brandon Sanderson. Is that familiar to you?
Not really. Run through a couple of plot or a couple of books.
Let's see. Mistborn series.
No.
Um, I can't remember the current one he's writing, but it has cool ones like Words of Radiance, Oathbringer. Are you fantasy at all? Wait, Stephen King's fantasy.
Some like
Well,
Carrie, Cujo, Animal Cemetery. That's, we hope that's fantasy,
okay. Well,
but
anyways,
not really. Like I've like that was another thing. Like again, someone who lives in rural Alabama, and then the town library kind of shut down because the city was
oh,
like, "Hey guys, we have like 300 people at our school, and that school has a library, so that's kind of a waste of taxpayer dollars to have a library." So it wasn't really something that was like, and again, like super religious. So like my parents were like, Harry Potter is witchcraft and witchcraft is the devil.
this
So
is the
no
second
son of
time I've heard
mine,
it this week. Continue.
no son of mine will read anything to do with witchcraft, even though it was probably the most iconic book series of our generation.
Yeah.
Probably not by off not off of its own merit, but just by how widely accepted it was. Because
Yeah.
I'm sure, yeah. So no, I'm really catching up on books, and even the Dome. That was one of those that was one of those 10-hour days that
Yeah.
I just hit 1.5 on the reader, and I squeaked through that puppy.
Yeah. Well, I will add Stephen King to my list of potential audiobooks to get on.
Hmm.
You should definitely add Brandon Sanderson onto that if you can get your hands on him.
No, absolutely.
Some exceptional fantasy work.
And who doesn't love a good fantasy? I mean, isn't that why isekai anime is so popular?
I have
Because
no idea what that is.
really, okay, so
I know. I draw
isekai,
comics for. I want to draw comics for a living, and there's some manga anime terms I don't know.
you're good, you're good. But so isekai literally means another world. So it would be your everyday Joe Blow killed, and then he's transferred to a fantasy anime world where he is broken as shit, and he has like he's like there's a couple of them. It's like let's take one of the more fantastical ones. Oh my god, I hate this is the one I thought of. Reincarnated with my smartphone. It's bad. It's real bad. But
Ooh.
God accidentally kills him. He's like, I'm gonna take you to this universe. Anything you want to bring? He's like, can I bring my smartphone? And he's like, yeah, sure. I'll have magic give it an infinite battery, and then you can have like the map system. And it's completely fucking busted. Like he's like, phone scan for enemies on the map, and then they come up as dots. He targets them, hits them all with a stun spell. Boom. It's absolute dumb. Or you have Konosuba, which is something I recommend. Like even if you don't watch anime, watch Konosuba. It is glorious.
Okay. What
But
service is it on?
you can get on Crunchyroll. You can pirate it off Kiss Anime if you are chaotic evil. But I mean,
I was chaotic evil in Thailand when I could definitely get away with it. Not as much
oh
here.
yeah, oh well, you can get away with it here. It's but yeah,
Nothing
it's
to compromise my Google Fiber. I like my Google Fiber too much to do anything illegal.
oh yeah, dude. Like on this computer I have for the podcast, I am so close to. I'm just like, you're not watching anime on here. You can watch Crunchyroll. You watch Funimation. You're not going to any pirate sites. Not
No,
your
that'll probably
baby.
slow your ass down.
Not your baby.
Nope.
Nope, can't do it. But so what type of comics are you looking to get into? Are you trying to stick to that fantasy genre?
I mean, in Endgame, let's see. If someone were to hire me as a storyboard artist, I'd be happy to jump on and tell any story because that just the collaborative effort sounds fun to me. If for some reason the rest of my days I find myself doing my own stuff and just going solo, I think, well, I'm working on that sci-fi cyberpunk right now,
Uh-huh.
and I always enjoyed. I've been a sucker for sci-fi ever since I was a kid. I don't know if you've ever seen Titan AE, but when that first came out and I found out that animation could be cool and
Oh
not
yeah.
just princesses, I was like,
Oh yeah.
okay, I'm onto this.
Oh
So
yeah.
sci-fi has a special place in my heart. So I love telling stories in that realm because of all the what if scenarios that you can play. And I I have a feeling I'm actually still in the world building process of my comic. I've got some ideas that I personally think is what the reality in the next 30, 40 years could be.
Mm-hmm.
So I would like to explore that more and see what happens.
Yeah.
Um,
So
and what I would like to do, if ever I decide I can be successful at this or get enough attention for it, I would do 3 arcs within this world and then I'd be done with it.
yep.
Yep.
How God intended.
Yeah, 3 arcs. It's all you need. I mean, that's how a lot of art theory works. You have your thesis, you have your antithesis, and then you have your synthesis. Sorry if that's really highbrow, but like so many things, so many trilogies work in that realm.
Trilogies are trilogies for a reason because they work so damn well.
Yeah. When was the last time a a quadrilogy actually worked?
I can't even think of a quadrilogy off the top of my head.
Yeah. And any quadrilogy that you can think of or anything that had a great fourth film technically ended with the third. For example, Toy Story had a great ending, Toy Story 3. It could have ended there. And then they made another one. And you don't count as
Yeah.
being great even though you're great, you know?
Oh no, like no, no. The fourth Toy Story, like that should even be canon.
Just I yeah, franchises should die. I'll miss them, but
Like like How to Train Your Dragon.
mm,
I
beautiful.
would give my left leg for a fourth movie,
Would you
but
really?
but absolutely not.
Yeah.
I want it so badly, but I don't want you to ruin something so sacred.
Yeah, there's some you got to I think our culture simply needs to revere finality more. I
That's why September by the oh my god, I cannot believe I can't remember their name. But do you remember?
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
okay, so that song is so popular because it's a repeating chord progression. There's no ending to the chord.
Yep.
So it just keeps going. And so you
Mhm.
could technically just sing the song forever.
I I wonder if there is some sort of evolutionary back end coding in our head
There's got to be.
that doesn't like things that end
Well,
because
yeah,
it
of course.
resembles death too much.
That's exactly what I was going to say. Exactly.
Because
We
I
don't want to
think,
die.
yeah, if you don't want to die, you are afraid of things that end. So the only people that are like, oh, yes, let it end are okay with dying. I mean, that's an overarching thought. But like, hey, if
It's
you're,
plausible. It's
yeah,
reaching, but it's plausible. Like
there's
if a
some
doc
truth in what I just said,
yeah,
but it's
if a
10
doctor
p.m.
came
I'm not
out,
sure where it is.
yeah, if a doctor told me that, like if a doctor's like, all right, guys, so if you don't like stuff ending, it's because you're scared of your death. It's like, well, no fucking shit, dumbass. That's what you got your degree for, to tell me that dumb shit? Duh.
I mean, I feel like if I heard that from a doctor for the first time, I'd be like, bruh, that's a lot to take in.
I mean, it just seems so obvious. I mean, honestly, but who knows? Like there was this one, like, because there are a couple of psychologists that will hurt you by what you need. So
Yeah.
like there was this one person, like, and again, this might just be them the posturing, but it was like, why do you want to lose weight? Is it because you want to be healthy, or is it because you want to make yourself smaller so you can be young and innocent? Something that you've lost. I'm like, okay, time out. I'm just trying to lose a couple pounds. I'm not trying like you're trying to like equate that to me regaining lost innocence. It's like, that's no, that you don't need to do that. Don't put
Yeah,
that thought
but
in my
like
head.
intent is everything in this world.
It really is.
Yeah.
But I
Because
also don't want to think about that.
yeah, intent is everything. Every bad guy thinks they're doing the right thing.
They really do.
So intent is everything.
Like,
We're the yeah.
I mean, honestly, like, I think like all but like maybe Hitler, like there's a couple of people. There's a couple. You could even argue Genghis Khan. He's like, he just wanted to unite Asia or whatever. It's like, it's not like, it's not the absolute best way to go about it, but you could argue in some weird sense that he had a halfway arguable thing. Hitler, no. Every other bad guy, you could kind of argue that. Not very well, but you
Well,
could
I
at least
mean,
attempt it. You could
the
attempt it.
people who have become the villains are in history. Like the only rationale, like the simple rationale that all of them took is like, I have this idea for a perfect world. Not everyone's gonna make it.
Yeah.
That I mean, that's the bottom line for all the dictators out there. Like, I have
Right.
this great idea, but everyone should agree with me to in order to do it.
Oh
And
yeah.
life is
Like,
just not that simple.
no, it's really not. It's so difficult. And then again, who are we to say that it is? But then you're justifying it. And that you can't justify dictators at all.
Yeah. I mean,
It's like,
what's interesting is like this is what sci-fi is for,
yeah,
because you get to push all of these concepts and you can take them to 11 and see like, what if there was a ruler that was so good and like made a perfect utopia, but also people had died in the process. But you saw the end product. Would you say what he did was bad, even though you're looking at a
yeah,
paradise? Like that's the
yeah.
fun stuff about sci-fi.
Because it's so hard to do that without trying to implement epigenetics, or like trying to like wipe out all the people without blonde hair and blue eyes. Like, it's so hard.
Yeah, just yeah,
You can't cull the weak without killing off a lot of people.
yeah. It's life wasn't supposed to be about strength. I mean, I think there is some truth in just the I don't know, just the humanity of it. Like I come from a Christian background and I am a Christian, and there's the concept of like, oh no, you take care of the widows and the orphans. That's part of life. The point of life isn't to
Yeah,
completely destroy like survival of the fittest. That is like what nature put there as a template. And I think one thing that makes us outstanding is that we're not just about survival of the fittest. We have more to us than that.
yeah. We are able to become more than that.
Yeah. Sorry if I got too high on that religious pedestal. I
No,
don't
you're
do that too
fine.
often.
No, you're fine. I mean, truly, like, even though I'm not necessarily like, it's like, again, I was raised Christian. I have my own things with it, but it is undeniably critical for the evolution of humanity, because
Mhm.
evolutionarily, we are only supposed to be able to handle 150 people.
In our heads?
Yeah, like,
Okay.
so like I can't remember. It's like Klein's number. It's like an actual term. It's like you're only supposed to be able to keep up with about 150 people. That's about the normal size of like hunter
Jeez, I
gatherer
can barely
tribe.
keep up with like a dozen right now.
Yeah. Well, that's because, well, shit, my brother was able to memorize at least 100 phone numbers as a child. Now he's just like, good fucking luck. But when it's necessary, you are supposed to be able to keep up with about 150 people. Now, how would you be able to keep up with, though, with two different tribes? How would you keep up with 300 people? Well, if you all worship the same dude in the sky, that'd be pretty fucking easy.
Yeah, if
And you had a
religion
guy.
is
Yeah,
yeah, if religion is boiled down to sharing a common set of morals, it does make it easier to make connections with other people, being like, hey, you believe we don't do dumb shit? Oh, you do? All right, let's team up. I can have you on my team and know that you're not going to stab me in the back or whatnot.
exactly. Hopefully. But then,
Hopefully.
yeah, but then you get people that abuse that stuff. You can get a Book of Eli kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah, any religion, but definitely Christianity has had a couple sore spots in
Oh,
history
yeah.
of, and even currently, of just power being abused and
Oh,
using
yeah, dude.
using things to, or using scripture and what God says to warrant, to validate things are that are definitely not up to code.
Look, there's even like some, and like I myself, not only do I not care, it's not that I don't care, it's that it wouldn't affect me either way. But there is a lot of different Christian philosophers and those who study Christianity and its history. There's a lot that I've been finding that say that homosexuality wasn't even part of the Bible until like the 40s, but
Yeah,
its original Jewish translation was like akin to pedophilia. So,
I've heard about that as well. Unfortunately, it's through TikTok, and I
yeah,
would like
yeah.
to go out of my way to actually like take a deeper
Same here.
dive into
Same here.
that.
Like that ass. If you got me a 1900s Bible in English and I went to that scripture and it's like, don't touch kids. I'm like, oh, well, then there you go. Problem solved. But I feel that would have happened already.
You would hope, but like I don't
Who
know.
knows? Who
Part
knows?
of the reason why people do, I mean, I will say, in fact, my dad, who is awesome, he had just visited us from Thailand and just headed out. But one thing that was really cool this summer is I got to learn a little bit more in depth about what he was doing, because since he's a missionary, he actually translated the Bible into easy to read Thai,
Mm-hmm.
which means that he not only had to like look at what current translations were, he had to look at the Greek, the all the original basic
Yeah.
text with his team, and to like figure out how to make this sound correct in a Thai culture.
Mm-hmm.
And so I like thinking about all those different contextual and cultural and
Yeah.
linguistical things that can be lost in the process. I wouldn't be surprised if something like that happened.
Oh yeah, and in like ancient Judaism, ancient Jewish to modern Jewish, or to medieval Jewish to modern Jewish to Roman to Greek to English to Spanish. I mean, God knows. I mean, and then who's to say that a king didn't be like, hey, I want my subjects to not like, because the what was it? Oh my God, it was I can't remember what it was, but it was the Catholic Church received a doctrine from a king, a Spanish king, that was to give them property, but it's been like disproven 100 times.
Hmm. Huh.
So like it was like the Pope was like, as God's right hand on earth, I
Yeah.
decree this like thing, blah blah blah. It says that we're supposed to, and like the older a document is, the more revered it is. It's like, oh, the ancient
Right.
document is like probably written by a bunch of people that could barely read by today's standards. It's like, oh, they
Yeah.
said this, so we do it. But like, who knows, man? I mean,
Yeah. And when you're interpreting, like when you're telling your own story, for 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 example, there is a part of yourself in that story that you're telling, whether you're doing a
yeah,
podcast or drawing a comic. And unfortunately, even when you're trying to translate a Bible, it might not be conscious, but in some ways, I wouldn't be surprised if a group of people got together trying to change one language and turn it into another, that their unconscious bias, or
yeah.
their small perspective, which we all have small perspectives, but like as much as you can, it's not gonna be perfect unless you get to the very bottom and also understand every, like I can't be that scholarly about the Bible 24/7.
Oh
I
no.
just hope that these people have had a long and hard thought about what they translated and why.
Hell, you've got some people now, they won't read any Bible unless it's the King James version.
Really? Wow.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. There's especially in like, and this is again through TikTok. So I don't necessarily,
Yeah.
I'm not educated in this,
Right.
but through
We'll look
my,
into it.
yeah, I'll look into it. But like, who knows, man? I mean, who knows? I mean, again, that could play off to a nostalgia kind of bit. It's like we read this they kind of linguistic ye old century English kind of lingo. Who's to say that like it's supposed to be doth the Lord said? It's like if you read a Bible says and the Lord said this, it's like, whoa, that's not I understand. I can understand that 100%. Because that
Hmm.
kind of like old English, it makes it feel it's that old documentation. It's like it
Hmm.
has reverence to it. It's aged. It's got some age to it. It's like it's not
It's
something that
got
just came out.
some mileage.
Yeah, it's got mileage on it. It's stood the test of time.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
but who knows, man? It's
Yeah. I feel like our conversations have been getting spicy, but I'm gonna have to wrap it up soon.
oh, dude, I hear you. But look, hey, man, it was great having you on. I loved having you on. Like I
Yeah, it was
do,
great
I
talking to you.
truly love these conversations because they, again, you learn more, you talk more, you're able to flesh out ideas, and like relationships are built. And who knows where it comes? Who knows where it goes
Yeah.
from there? I mean, but let everybody know where they can find you
Um, I don't know where you can find me where I might be talking about all this stuff
at.
unless you hang out with me in person. But
Right.
if you're wondering what I am up to, you can follow me on TikTok at Ben Todd Art, no caps, no spaces. And if you're the kind that likes to send good vibes, hope that I can find myself a storyboarding job, or bottom line, just find a way to employ myself with my art.
All right. So that's TikTok and Instagram.
Actually, yeah, on Instagram too. And you can find my webcomic on Tumblr. It is Protobite. So protobite.tumblr.com. You can read the first 50 pages for free.
All right. Well, hey, man,
Yeah.
thank you so much for coming on. It's been a blast.
Oh, it's been a
Appreciate
pleasure
it.
talking with you.
All right, man. All right. Bye, everybody.
Bye.